right, everybody. Um, I'm going to be going live here at 8 p.m. So this is just like a precursor. I'm going to be going live at 8 p.m. Let me get my mic right. I got a new mic here, so people will tell me I need to get a new mic. So I went out and got the most expensive, mic that I can get to make sure that we have some good sound quality here. But this is part of my regular series that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be going live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I did a live on Facebook last night where we were talking about, how to invest, the different things you can invest in and how to invest depending on what your goal is. A lot of people don't understand that if you invest in a stable business, a company that's already up and running, if you invest in a company that's already up and running, the stock is public and everything like that, you're not going to make money for yourself. Okay. You investing to make your grandkids and great grandkids and great grandkids wealthy. You're not going to become wealthy by investing into Amazon. You're not going to become wealthy by investing into Uber. You're not going to become wealthy by investing into any company that's already established and they are public, especially if it's not volatile stock. Now, if you invested in Bitcoin, it's volatile, which means it's up, way down, way up, way down. Yeah, you can make money like that because you can, like I did. I invested in Bitcoin. Well, I had an opportunity to invest in Bitcoin back in 2011 when they were before they even really got started good, and I could have got 12 Bitcoins for $72. But because of my lack of knowledge and my lack of understanding of what it was, I passed on it. Later on, I did get involved with Bitcoin back in right around 2017 or 16 when it was like, it was low. It was like $2,700 a share or something like that, per Bitcoin. And I got involved then. I bought like 11 Bitcoins. And then because of the volatility of it, that was in 2013 is when I bought those 2,700 per Bitcoin. When I bought those, I bought like 11 of them. And then in 2017 and 2018, it got all the way up to like 68, almost $72,000 or something like that. And then when it started dropping, I sold 6 of my Bitcoins at around $66,000 to $67,000 each. Okay. Volatile stuff like that, you can make money in because you can kind of ride the wave. But if you're looking to invest in stuff like, Amazon, anything that's stable, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's, Burger King, Walmart, Costco, any of these companies, Uber, any of these companies, if you're looking to invest in a company that's already established, they've already gone public. They have, they have stock out there that the public can buy. You're not going to become wealthy with that in your lifetime. You're just not. That is to make your grandkids wealthy, your great grandkids wealthy, all those people who didn't put any money into it, because you can buy 1 million shares of Amazon stock, which is at $188, $198 a share, which I just checked about, a couple of hours ago. It was at $198 a share. You can buy 1 million shares of that, and you're going to spend what? $200 million for 1 million shares. Even if you held on to it for the next 10 years and you turn around and sell it, it's only going to go up in what? Maybe $25, $30, maybe $100. You're not going to make nowhere near what you spent on it. Okay. I mean, you'll basically just be selling it for just about what you paid for it. So you're not making any real money. Now, your great grandkids and your great great grandkids, after you dead and gone and it's doing you no good, they can sell it and make, you got 200 million shares. You got 1 million shares. They're at $188 a share, or if it goes up to $210 a share, they're gonna pocket $200-300 million because they didn't spend any money on it. So that's all profit for them, but it's not profit for you. You're not gonna make any money on that. The only way that there is a way for you to invest in companies where you have a shot at becoming a billionaire in your lifetime, or at least a millionaire to the tune of, anywhere from 50 to 100 to 6, 8, $900 million. But you have to catch those companies in what's called their pre-seed funding stage. Okay. You have to catch them before they actually become a company. Because the SEC will allow you to invest in those companies. They'll allow you to participate in that because it is called a pre-seed funding. Okay. That is when a company is not even a company. It's an idea. It's a vision. It's a dream. It's a concept. The SEC says that you can invest in those things because they're in the pre-seed stage. In other words, the SEC says any founder, the founders of a company, can reach out to their family, friends, and associates, and they can put money into their company to help them get that company started. That is the only time when the average person is allowed to participate in actually investing in a company other than at the IPO stage, at the very end stage. So you can get in at the very beginning or you can get in at the very end. Now, if you get in at the very beginning, you have a chance to become a multimillionaire or a billionaire. But if you wait till the IPO stage, guess what? You can't afford to buy a whole lot of that stock because you can get in at the very beginning. Like, all right, I've got a company now. I'm going to be presenting a series of startup ideas that I've been coming up with over the last 8, 9 years, and I'm going to be giving people an opportunity to help raise the seed capital for those startups. Now, that is a chance when you have a chance to make some serious money, when you have a chance to become one of the owners of the company. But in the seed funding stage, there's not going to be like 1,200 people or 1,000 people who can invest in that. In most cases, it's less than 15, 20 people. Okay, so it is truly one of those time-sensitive type of opportunities because the SEC says that the founder or the founders of a company or of an idea or a concept, they can go to their friends, family, and associates. That means YouTube people, Facebook friends, or whatever, whoever I decide to go to, say, look, I'm asking you all to help me raise these funds for this business. Now, think back. If you had been a friend of the gentleman who started Uber, and he came to you and said, hey, I need to raise some funds to start this concept. This is 1998. I need to raise these funds to start this concept of, allowing to build an app and create the software doing an app to where people can post their personal vehicles and people coming to look for rides can ping their location, and then you get a notification. You can go pick them up, and they can pay you through the app without exchanging cash hands, nothing. And you can do this all day, all night, and get paid just for giving people rides. Now, if you had been one of his associates, and he came to you with that, and you put money in that, you would be a billionaire today. Same thing with Apple. If Steve Jobs, if you had been an associate of Steve Jobs, and he came to you and said, hey, I'm going to be, building these computers. I've already sold my car. I got $1,700 for it. And my partner, he sold some stereo equipment and got $700. Now I'm coming to you all, my friend, this is what they actually did. Steve Jobs sold this vehicle for $1,700. His partner, Wachowski, I can't think of what his name was, he sold some stereo equipment and got $750 or something like that. And then they went to their friends and family and people that they knew, and I think they raised another $17,000, and then after that they raised another $60,000, whatever it could be, and that's how they started Apple Computers. Now all those people, they became owners of the company, or they became principal shareholders. And when they created their shares, all of them got millions of shares of Apple. So when they started going through the other funding stage, which the everyday ordinary people can't take place in, only venture capitalists, hedge funds, investment banking can take place in the series, can take place in the second seed funding stage, and the A, B, and C and D seed funding. Only they can participate in that. And then when it gets to the IPO stage, when the SEC comes in and does an evaluation of your company and says, okay, your company's now making money, it's doing pretty good, we're going to give you an evaluation of $200 million. Or your company is $1 billion company, or a $20 billion company, or a $30 billion company, or whatever it is. And then they evaluate your stock share potential. So because of the market share and the amount of money you're bringing in and the size of your company right now, we're going to give you a valuation of $80 to $150 a share. Okay? So now it's public. And now the general public, ordinary people like you and everybody else, now you can buy it as that stock, but it's so expensive at $150, $180 a share. How much of that stock are you going to make? You can't get millions of stock like the people did in the seed funding stage, in the pre-seed funding stage. You see, you have to know, and you have to be associated with people who are coming up with business ideas and ventures that are going to be game changers, business ideas and ventures that is going to upset the status quo, business ideas and ventures that are going to drastically change the way an industry operates. And if you can be on the inside track of that and be a part of that funding stage, you can put in $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 and get 10 million shares. You can put in $5,000 and possibly get 1.5 million shares of a company, so that once it goes to the stage, when it's getting all those other stages, then it goes public and it goes to the IPO stage. Now your 1.5 million shares that you got in for $5,000 is worth, you get like, let's say 3.7 million shares that you got for $5,000, right? Now they're worth $188, $150 a share, or in some cases $300 a share, because the SEC has given it their valuation after it's gone through all that funding stage. After the company is now built, the company is now making money, the company now has clientele, the company has a market share, the company has all this stuff that makes it, in the eyes of the SEC, a valuable entity or a legitimate entity. Now they can go public, but now those shares that they created, 500 million shares or whatever the case may be, and they take 60% of those, and those go to the principal shareholders, those people that were able to participate in the pre-seed funding stage. Now those people now have a lot of shares. If you were one of those people and you was offered the opportunity to get in at $5,000, and your $5,000 got you 2.5% of the company, that's what your $5,000, it got you 2.5% ownership of the company. In the second round, and now they're raising that. Now the founders would say, "Well, we need $300,000, we need $400,000, we need $500,000 to get our company started." And what we're offering is this: for $500,000, we are offering 40% share of the company, 40% ownership of the company. So if one person comes up with that $500,000, they own 40% of the company. If two people come together and they equally come up with $250,000 each of them owns 20% of the company. Okay? If four people equally split it, each of them owns 10% of the company. If 5 people or 10 people equally split that $500,000 and they each come up with $100,000 each, $50,000 each, right? Then they equally own a piece of that company. So if you came up with $5,000, they say at the bottom level is $5,000, and your $5,000 gets you 2.5% of the company. Just 2.5% ownership of the company. That's what piece of the company you own. Now, when they take that money, that $500,000 that they raise in that pre-seed capital stage, now they take that money to actually create a actual company. Because before, it's just an idea, it's a vision, it's a concept, it's a dream. But now they take that and they turn it into an actual company. They have a product, they have a service, they're getting clientele, they're paying for their marketing, they're using that money to pay for all that stuff so they can actually have a real company, and the company can start generating revenue. Now, when they hit that stage, then they can go to the second round of funding. But only hedge funds, venture capitalists, investment bankers, People who are considered accredited investors. You have to be an accredited investor to participate in any of the funding in between the pre-seed and the IPO. So the best chance for you as an ordinary person to make money in any company is to get in at the pre-seed funding level. Because after that, you own a piece of the company. So let's take that, that 2.5% of the company that you own for $5,000. In the next level, when the company becomes a company, then they create shares. All the shareholders, the principal shareholders, now the company can create shares. The SEC says you can create shares. And you can create as many shares as you want. You can create 500 million shares. Why do you want to create so many? Because you create 500 million shares to reward the people who believed in your dream, your vision, those people that put that money in the pre-seed, people like you that put in that $5,000. That's why you're able to get 3.7 million shares, 3.725 shares for just what? Your $5,000, because they create 500 million shares and they take 60% of those shares and they're set aside for the people who are the principal shareholders, you and other people who put money in at the very beginning. So 60% of 5 million shares is somewhere about what? Almost 3 million. That's like 3 million shares. 300 million shares. I'm sorry. So there's 300 million shares that are now belongs to the shareholder. If your percentage is 2.5%, you're getting 2.5% of 300 million shares. Okay, which is going to be about 3,750,000 shares. Right? Now you're selling those shares. Now you own those shares. You own 2.5% of the company, and you own 3,750,000 shares in that company. And now that company continues to build and make money, and they go to different stages. That other 200 million shares that they have left over is for those accredited investors when they go out to them after the company starts making money, the company becomes viable, it's picking up steam, it has potential, then they can go and they can raise money from other investors, like accredited investors. People who have a net worth of more than $500,000. People who have an annual income of more than $150,000, $175,000. People who have a certain amount of assets at a certain level. Those are what's called accredited investors. And they have to prove this stuff by presenting their financials, everything through the SEC to prove that they are accredited investors. A company cannot accept your money after the pre-seed funding stage if you are not an accredited investor. You may want to invest, but that company can't even accept your money. It's against the law. SEC will not allow them. It's not allowed. Only people who have money at that point, people who have a net worth of more than $500,000, people who make more than $150,000, $175,000 a year, people who have more than $1 million in assets, only they can now invest in the series of funding rounds under the next seed funding, the Series A, Series B, Series C, and D. Only they can invest then. Okay? And when you reach out to those people can invest because they're building that company up. They're pushing that company. They're putting enough money behind that company to push it to the next level where they can hire more people, create more products, have bigger and better services. So they're building the company up and getting it ready for what? The IPO, the initial public offering. Now, the company has now dumped all those other 200 million shares. They created 500 million shares. 300 million shares goes to the principal shareholders. Those are the people like yourself that put in 5,000. Some people put in 10. Some people put in 50. Some people put in 100,000, whatever the case may be. But those are the people that help them get that $500,000 to get that company started. Now they've gone through all these other rounds of raising capital, and the company's making money during that time, and you're receiving your dividends, your 2.5% of whatever the profit is from that company. Okay, so you're receiving your dividends from it too. Okay, but when you're really going to make your real money, when you're really going to become wealthy, a billionaire, is you got your 3,750,000 shares that you got for just $5,000 because you were able to take part in the pre-seed funding stage of that company. Now you get to the IPO stage. Okay, you've got your shares, 3,750,000 shares. All the other principal shareholders got their 10 million shares, 20 million shares, 30, 40, 50, 60 million shares, or whatever they got. And these investment banking firms, they done put in a few $100,000, a couple of $1 million, and they got their million shares or 5 million or 10 million shares, or whatever they got, right? They paid a little bit more for it than you did because they came at a later stage. Now you're getting ready for the IPO stage. After you raised all this money and your company is doing well, now the SEC can come in and look at your books and give the company a valuation. They're going to give the company a valuation, which means they're going to say this company, based on their market share and the number of clientele that they have, number of trucks that they're leasing out, the revenue that they have coming in on a continuous basis, the residual revenue, how many employees they got. This company has a valuation of $1.8 billion. This company has a valuation of $6 billion. This company has an valuation of $300, $400, $500, $600 million, whatever the valuation is. And based on that, they're going to determine the stock value of that company. So now the company gets to do what? Create more shares, because it's getting ready to go to what's called an initial public offering, the IPO. Now they get to create more shares. When they first started the company, there were no shares because it was just an idea. And the people who paid money to help that idea form into a company, then after that, they created 500 million shares, but they gave away, but 300 million of those shares went to the people who put that money in first. The other 200 million got siphoned off doing that, the rounds, A, B, C, D, C capital rounds, the funding rounds. Now they got an evaluation. They said the stock is worth $188,000. Stock is worth $188 a share, or $50 a share, or $100 a share, or whatever the case may be. Now, guess what? They get to create more shares. They can create another 500 million shares and sell those off to the general public. That is now the only other stage in which an average person like yourself can participate in buying shares or stock in a company. You either get in at the very, 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 very beginning, at the pre-seed capital stage, where you really getting in for really cheap because you putting in, your $5, $10, $20,000, but you're getting, millions of shares. Millions of shares. That's what you got in for. But now your 3.7 million shares at the IPO stage, they're worth $188 a share. Do the math on that, people. Do the math on that. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick. Mute website notifications. Not now. All right. See if I can share my screen here real quick. I'm going to try and share my screen. Okay. Let me share my calculator. All right. There's my calculator up. All right. So now you've got those. Let me empty this out. Now you've got, 3,750,000 shares. And you got them for $5,000 because you got in at the very beginning. But now you're at the IPO stage. And the SEC has given that company an evaluation of, let's say, $150 a share. Right? $150 a share. You got 3,750,000 shares that you got for $5,000 at the very beginning. Here it is now, 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, right? The company is now going public, and they've got their stuff on the New York Stock Exchange and everything. And now the SEC has given them a valuation, says their stock is worth, $188 a share. And that company has created another 500 million shares that they can sell off to the general public. Now the general public, now people like you, me, and everybody else, now you can participate. But guess what? You can't afford to buy a whole bunch of shares like you would have gotten gifted, that you would have gotten in the pre-seed funding stage. Okay, so now those Your same 3,750,000 shares times $188 a share. See, you're knocking at the door of a billionaire. And you came in at the very low end, and you came in at the bottom part. Only $5,000. You invested $5,000 to help this company reach $500,000 so they can start the business and move forward. This is how you become a billionaire in your lifetime, or multi-millionaire in the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars in your lifetime. This is the only opportunity that you ever get to invest in a company and be able to benefit from it in that way. You either do it in the pre-seed funding, or you do it at the IPO stage. If you do it at the IPO stage and that stock is worth $188 at the IPO stage, if you wanted to get 10,000 shares, remember you got 3.7 million shares for just 5,000 at the pre-seed funding stage. But if you wait till the IPO stage, and try to get into a company, it's $188 a share. If you want 10,000 shares, you got to spend $1.8 million. That ain't doing you no good, because the stock is never going to go up, much more than that. If anything, it might go down, but it's not going to go up much more than that over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe 30, 40, 50 years pass by. It may raise, a couple of $100 in 30, 40, 50 years, and you on your deathbed, and you ain't going to make no money from it, but your grandkids going to be wealthy because they got all that stock gets passed down to them. They got, shoot, they got, 10,000 shares or something. And then when they sell it, if it's $200 a share, if they sell it, then yeah, they'll have $2 million. But you won't. Look, what I'm saying is this. If you want, let me stop my share here. Yeah, stop sharing. There we go. All I'm saying is this. If you want to invest in companies, it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to create wealth for generations that's coming after you, yeah, invest in companies that are already up and going. They're thriving. They're out there. You can go to, Robinhood and on the Robinhood thing and pull up the stock price and you can buy stock in it. But it's not going to make you any money unless you're buying in something that's very volatile, like Bitcoin or something like that, where you can kind of look at it, buy it when it's low and it's going up and going down, going up and going down, going up and going up. But the thing about that is you could lose a lot of money if you're not constantly monitoring it and seeing when it's peaking. That's when you sell. When it drops, that's when you buy. When it peaks, you sell. When it drops, you buy. You can make money that way. That's why day traders make money, because day traders make money on volatile stock, on the volatility of stock. That's how they make money. But if you're just an average Joe who's got a couple $1,000 or $5 or $10, $15, $20,000 that you want to invest in something, you ain't gonna make the money by putting that money into a already existing company. Okay, because you can't put money into it until it gets to the IPO stage anyway. While it's a privately held company, you got one shot while it's a privately held company. And that is at the very, very beginning, before it even becomes a company, before it even becomes a product, when it's just an idea, when it's just a vision. They may have a website up that shows you how this will work. Other than that, that's it. It cannot be a registered company. It can't be a company that already has an LLC or anything like that, because the SEC says you cannot invest in those until they've gone through all the series funding stage and it goes to an IPO, an initial public offering. I know that doesn't sound right. I know it doesn't sound fair, but that's just the way it is. Okay? That's the way it is, and it's just that. Okay? There's no way for you to participate in that type of stuff. And to show you what I'm talking about, let me share my screen one more time. Let's see what screen to share. I want to share the Let me just share the entire screen. All right, I'm gonna go over here too real quick to get out of this so y'all won't have all that jumping up like that. All right, let's go to that. All right, so I think I got it right. I don't think I'm jumping all over the place right now. Let me check on my phone to make sure I've got this right, because this is my first time actually doing this live on YouTube like this. Let me see. Make sure I got it right. Make sure I got it right. Make sure I got it right. New channel. All right, I'm live. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm live. All right. So, all right, yeah, it's showing in the right place now. Okay. Let me turn my volume down here. All right, yeah, I'm in the right place. All right. So as you can see here, this is that shows you the different stages of funding. Okay. What are the funding stages of a startup? As you all can see here. Okay. All right. So we've got an ad. We're going to break for the ad. All right. What are the funding stages for a startup? All right. These are the funding stages for a startup. Okay. Funding stages of a startup represent different phases in a company's life cycle, each with distinct characteristics, goals, and types of investors. That's very important right there. Types of investors. They also come with different levels of funding. Crunchbase reported that the average seed round in the first quarter of 2023 for U.S. startups was $3.6 million. That means the average company in the first seed round, they raised, there was average raising about $3.6 million. That's about what it costs to really start a real good company, a real a solid company, a viable company, unless you're in some type of niche like a trucking niche or something like that, where you can start companies up for a few $100,000 and get them to the point to where they can become multi-million and billion-dollar companies. Okay, but on average, $3.6 million is what you really need. All right, while the average Series A round was an $18,700,000 or 18.7 million. Here's an overview of these stages. All right, we were talking about pre-seed funding. Pre-seed funding. This is considered the earliest funding stage. It typically involves the founders. That means the person who comes up with the idea, the person who founded the company, who has this vision or has this dream or has this concept for a company. Involves the founders using their own resources or funds from friends and family to launch the business. I want y'all to understand something. This is the only stage at raising capital for a company that everyday ordinary people can take part in until it gets to the IPO stage. And at that stage, you can't, the stock prices are so high, you can't afford to buy a whole bunch of the stock anyway. This really is the only opportunity that everyday ordinary people have to become multimillionaires and billionaires, is if they put capital into someone's dream, into someone's visions, into someone's, idea, into someone's concept. Okay. If you can take a look at what someone has and you can see the vision and you say, okay, I get it. I see how this is going to make money. I see how this is going to radically change, or how this is going to upset the status quo. I see how this is going to bring something different to an already existing industry. I see how a lot of people are going to want to buy into this. I see how a lot of people are going to want to get this service. I see how this is going to conquer, 5, 10, 15, 20% of the market. Okay. I see how this is going to do that. If you see that and you recognize that, you better start putting your money into that if they give you the opportunity to, because that's your only chance. That is your only chance of becoming a multimillionaire or a billionaire. Because all these other funding stages, they're not for you. All these other funding stages, they are for people who are considered accredited investors. And let's go on to show you what I'm talking about. Pre-seed funding often precedes product development. In other words, this is the stage before a company is even put together, before a product is even created. Like I said, you are investing in someone's dream. You're investing in someone's vision. You're investing in someone's concept. That's what you're investing in. They may have a website up to show you, okay, this is how this will work. Whatever. This is we did some test stuff, see how many people will be interested in it. That's fine, but it's not a company yet. They haven't even filed for an LLC, because when you file for an LLC, you have to do what? List the company owners who own more than 10% share. Woo! That's where it's now a company after they got money from some people, and those people who gave them money, they are listed with their percentages of how many shares they own in the company. Okay? So your next stage after that, after you now got in the money to start your company, is the seed funding stage. Seed funding is the first official funding stage, typically taking place after a startup has a small amount of traction. Investors in this stage include angel investors, that's not you, incubators, that's not you, and venture capital firms, definitely not you, specializing in early stage investments. You see how the game is rigged? In the pre-seed funding stage, it's not open to a whole bunch of people. It's really only open to the people that the founders reach out to and say, hey, I've got this idea for a company. I've got a website up you can take a look at, see how it all would work. You can kind of do some research, this and that. But I need to raise $500,000 to make this thing work. I need to raise $300,000 to make this thing work. I need to raise $3.6 million to make this thing work. I need to raise $1.5 million to make this thing work. Now, for the $300,000, I'm giving up 40%, of the company. For that $5 million, I'm giving up 40% of the company. For that $3.6 million or $700,000, whatever it is, I'm giving up 40% of the company. And you can come in at different stages. If you invest the whole $500,000, you own 40% of the company. If you and somebody else invest $250,000 each, you each own 20% of the company. You see how that works? If you invest, $10,000, you own 4% of the company. If you invest $5,000, you own 2.5. You own 2% of the company. That's how that works. But but whatever you put in, whichever stage you come in at, you are now one of the owners of the company. You are now one of the principal shareholders, which are the owners of that company. Okay? So, but when you get to this stage, but after that stage, that's it. And there may be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 15, 20 people who are now in this part, because it's not going to take a whole bunch of people to come up with that money. Somebody may see that and they got $1 million to put in. They put in $1 million and the person only needs $2 million. Well, guess what? They own 20% of the company because they put in half the money. Okay. And you may have another 5 or 6 other people come up with a couple $100,000 each, So if you're quick on pulling the trigger, and there's a level that they have when you put in 5,000, 10,000. If you got that kind of money, you might want to jump in if you've done your due diligence to see what type of market share this type of idea will have, or what type of traction this might have, or if you kind of did your research on that industry. You know what? I think this is going to take off, like a Uber or a Lyft, something of that nature, that people didn't think would work because taxi cabs had a run on stuff. Boy, how they were wrong. Okay. I missed out on bottled water. I could have been a billionaire right now. I had $47,000 and was given an opportunity to invest in Jeffrey Hill's bottled water. Sure did. 1989. I could have got 20 million shares of Jeffrey Hill's, which is now Water Incorporated. I could have got 20 million shares for around $20,000. But me being the smarty pants person that I am, I said, ain't nobody going to pay for water. Water's free. Who's going to pay for that? Yeah, well, 3-4 years later, I was sick to my stomach because Jeffrey Hill's water was in every grocery store, being sold at every fitness center. People were buying bottled water. off the like it was the fountain of youth. So you see what I mean by that. All right. You have to be able to realize the potential of something, and you have to get in when the getting in is good. Because not very many people are going to be offered that opportunity to get in at that pre-seed funding stage. So when someone comes to you and they want you to take a look at something and they're in the pre-seed funding stage, it would behoove you to take a look at it and to really take a look at it and evaluate it, because it could be your opportunity to become a billionaire. That is your best chance right there, because all this other stuff you can't participate in. All right. In the Series A funding, okay, at this stage, startups have developed a track record and established user base, consistent revenue figures, or some other key performance indicator. Venture capital firms are the primary investors in Series A rounds, and these firms expect a developed business model and clear strategy for turning a profit. Now, this is after this company has done their pre-seed. Now they've created their 500 million shares. These people up here in the pre-seed area who helped them come up with that 500,000 or 3.6 million, they got their 300,000 shares. 300 million shares that they're splitting. Some of them got 3.7 million shares. Some of them got 10 million shares. Some of them got 20 million shares. Some of them got 60 million shares. Some of them got however what they got as far as what they invested. The other 200 million shares from that 500 million, they're being sold off to these venture capitalist firms at these stages of funding. Now you see why you create so many shares after the pre-seed funding stage. You create 500 million shares. There are some companies that create 1 billion shares. That's not unheard of, because they know they're going to go after some venture capitalist money and all this other money, and then those people are going to want a lot of shares, but those people are going to put up a lot of money to get those shares. They're going to put up a lot more money than these people did in the pre-seed funding. That's your best opportunity to become a billionaire. It's in the pre-seed funding stage. Now you're going through these other funding series, and the company is making money at the same time. The company is now, you got clientele, you got business going, you're making money, you got, you're getting employees, and the reason why you're going after all this funding is so you can build the company bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, because it takes money to push a company to that next level. Yeah, you can make money, but when you got people who are willing to put money into your company because they see the potential, they see the growth, they see what it's doing, that's how companies build to become these huge companies. Okay? So now, in this stage, they have to show, some type of strategy, some type of plan. All right, I think we got a break here for a we're doing a break for a commercial break. My ads are going on. All right. Give me a second. All right. I think I can skip this ad. All right. Let's skip this ad. All right. So we're back. All right. After that commercial break. All right. So now, you're in these other funding stages where these companies are going to want to see, a business plan. Okay. But that's fine, because now you've made money. You got the money to have, to pay someone to actually do a really, really, really nice business model plan and show them, what we're going to be doing, how much money that we're going to spend on marketing, what we're going to do as far as hiring new employees, what we're going to do about expansion, and show how we're going to create growth and make more and more money over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Okay? So at that stage, that's what you're doing. Then you're at this Series B funding stage. All right. Companies that reach this stage are well established and seek to expand their market reach. Series B funding usually comes from venture capital firms. That's not you. Again, this is another area where the ordinary person cannot participate. You got to have money. You got to have assets. You got to have a network of more than $500,000 and all this other stuff. That's just not you. All right. Then you have the Series C funding. These funding rounds, Series C, D, and beyond, are typically larger as the company has a proven track record. These rounds may involve private equity firms. We're talking the hundreds of billions of dollars. Investment banks. We're talking trillions of dollars. And in some cases, hedge funds. We're talking hundreds of trillions of dollars. These are the only people that can participate in this round of funding. Why? Because the end goal of these funding rounds is often to prepare the company for an initial public offer. There's that IPO that we've been talking about, that IPO stage. They're putting these companies, these other people with all this money, they're buying up these other 200 million shares that you have. And they're buying them up to the tune of they may say, well, I'll take 1 million shares for $20 million because they got the money. Why are they doing that? Because they're pushing you to the IPO stage. Because when they get you to that IPO stage, now the SEC comes in and says, all right, let's look and see what y'all got so we can see what your stock is going to be valued at, that you can now sell to every ordinary hard-working people. Now they're getting ready for you to sell however many shares you create after that, another 1 billion shares, another 500 million shares, or whatever it is that you can sell now to the masses. You can sell as many shares. Now, this thing that gets me. The SEC says that in the very beginning, only a handful of people that you reach out to can participate in your pre-seed funding stage, where they can put in 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, whatever they want to put in to get you to the money you need to build your company. After that, only companies who have millions of dollars, people who are millionaires, can only invest after that. But when you get to the IPO stage, when you can create another 500 million, another billion shares and sell them to any and everybody, right? And they're gonna give you a value on it, and these, that is the only other stage where the masses, everyday ordinary working people, can participate. Tell me the game ain't rigged. The game is rigged, people. It is. The game is rigged. Okay? Because now at the IPO stage, they come in and say, okay, yeah, we evaluated your company. Your company is worth, $1.6 billion. Your company is worth $5 billion. Your company is worth $20 billion. Your company is worth $800 million, $900 million. And because your company is worth this amount of money, we value your stock somewhere between, on the low end, $30 a share and $80 a share. Or if your company is doing really, really well, $100 to $180 a share. If your company is doing phenomenal, your stock could be as much as $1,600 a share. Okay, like Moderna and the vaccine stock and all that stuff when it came out, that way up. Like this Ozempic stock. You try to get into Ozempic, man. You're gonna spend $1,000 just for one share. Look at Bitcoin, $68,000 per one Bitcoin. That's like a share. Come on, seriously. Okay, so that's what they're saying. All right. So now let's say your company is valued at, let's say it's now valued at, see if my calculator comes up. All right. Let's say they value at, like say $180 a share. $180 a share. The average person can't afford that. But now because now you have become an IPO, you now going public. The SEC says now you can create more shares to sell to the general public. And each one of those shares is going to be worth what we evaluated it at. The game is rigged, people. It's rigged. It is. It's rigged. On a deep slant. Okay? That's just how it is. So you've got now, you can create another 1 billion shares. Your original principal shareholders, the people who helped you to get the company started, the people you reached out to, they've got their 3.7 million shares, their 10 million shares, their 20 million shares, their 50 million shares, or however many they got for whatever they put in. You put in $5,000, you got 3.7 million shares. So now your $3,180,000 a share times 3,750,000 shares, right? What's your net worth now? Your net worth is $675 million. You see how people become billionaires? By being in that first pre-seed funding stage. You see how that's your best opportunity to take part in raising capital for with a company and becoming a billionaire at some point stage. Now, during the whole time, you still made money. Because let's take your 2.5% of the company. 2.5%, okay, is what you got in that company for your $5,000. Take, for instance, I'm going to be presenting something later on tonight at 8 o'clock on a company that I've come up with called Easy Lease. Okay, I'm going to be back at 8 o'clock to present that you all will have an opportunity to participate in the pre-seed funding phase of this company. Okay, we have a website up and everything. We even did some test marketing, but we got some people to come on and list their trucks, and we had some people who wanted to lease the trucks and things like that. So we'll be able to show you all how the company works and how it would work. But we're trying to raise the capital so we can actually make this happen. So we can actually go out and have an actual app built, so we can have the money to do our marketing and advertising, all our social media marketing and mainstream marketing on television and stuff like that. We're trying to raise, I think it's $300,000. We need $300K or $350K or somewhere around there is what we need to make this company happen. Okay, I think it's 300, and maybe 200,000, but I need to go back and check. But somewhere between 2 and 300K. So it's not one of these companies that we need $3 million or $4 million or $5 million. So in order to be able to participate in this pre-seed funding round, you don't need an enormous amount of money. I think at the bottom level, $6,250. Okay. And I believe that would get you, I'm not sure exactly what percent that gets you. I think it gets you 2.5 or 3% of the company or something like that. But that's a very good buy-in. Okay, so we'll be presenting that tonight. But to show you how, based on what we're going to be doing, let's just say if you decide to come into that company and participate in the pre-seed funding, and let's say you come in at the bottom level, 6,200, and you got 2.5% of the company. Okay, the way we're set up, we're going to be reaching out. We're going to be leasing trucks, but we're going to be leasing trucks where the lease operator gets 100% of the line haul. That's unheard of. These are some of the things that makes this company a game changer. When we say disrupt the status quo, when we say bring about a significant change in an already existing industry, okay? Just about every lease company out there right now, they have a split. 80-20, 70-30, or 60-40, or whatever the case may be. We're going to be the first lease company that's going to give 100% of the line haul to the owner-operator. That's right, 100% of the line haul, as long as they make their lease payment. Okay? We're also going to be one of the few companies that allows the owner-operators to self-dispatch. The lease operator can self-dispatch themselves. They can find their own freight. And they don't need our permission to do so. So it does not have to be approved by us. What's the point of becoming an owner-operator? Because the reason why most drivers want to become owner-operators or lease owner-operators, because they want independence. They want their freedom to be able to go where they want, when they want, and grab whatever loads that they want to grab. So it defeats the purpose when you got someone saying, well, you found some loads, but we don't approve of those loads. You can't take those loads. You got to take the ones that we dispatch to you. No, we'll be one of the only lease companies out there that allows people to find their own loads. If they want to take part in our dispatching service, they can. They get charged 10% of the load fee, so they still make 90%. That's still better than 99% of all the lease companies out there. Okay. Now, what's the catch? What is the real thing that's going to change on this industry? This is, if you've ever heard of Turo, we got another commercial. Y'all give me a second here. Your advertiser. We got an advertisement coming up during the live. We have another commercial. All right. So this, if you ever heard of Turo, you can go to Turo.com. That's where everyday ordinary people can list their cars on Turo's site, and people can come and they can, rent their cars. Well, we're going to be the first commercial truck sharing marketplace. In other words, we're going to do with semis, box trucks, sprinter vans, box trucks, sprinter vans, and cargo vans what Turo does with regular people's cars. People who own semi trucks and they're not doing anything with them, or people who are now driving a semi truck and they want to come off the road and they don't want to be out there on the road anymore, they can now list their assets, their trucks, their vehicles with Easy Lease, and then we will lease them out for them on a weekly basis. And these people on average people who own trucks, they can list them with Easy Lease and earn on average $74,000, $75,000 a year. That's their cut. And they don't have to pay any insurance. They have no liability. Why? Because the lease owner operator, they have to have insurance, they have to have their authority, and they have to have a valid CDL. They got that, and they make their lease payment. There are no hidden fees for the people who are making the lease payments. No hidden fees. They make the lease payments each week, and that lease payment is split 60-40 with the owner of the truck. The owner of the truck gets 60% of that weekly lease payment. Easy Lease gets 40% of that lease payment. And with the way they're set up, the owners of the trucks, the owners of the assets, on average, some are going to make over $100,000 a year on just their one truck. But on average, they're going to make about $75,000 per truck per year. Really can't beat it. Now, you talk about a game changer, that's a game changer. But we're going to be presenting that tonight. We're going to be going over the website. We're going to be showing y'all how this all works, the whole 9 yards, and what you need to do to get involved in it. But listen to what I'm telling you now. This is not going to be something that's going to be available for a mass number of people to get involved with. Once we reach our 300,000, that's it. That's it. Once we reach 300,000, that's going to be it. There's going to be no more, because after that, the average person can't participate in the other funding stages until it gets to the IPO stage. Now, to show you what I was talking about, even before you get to IPO, if you got 2.5% of that company, and let's say if we get to 100 trucks being leased out, the average truck that we're going to be leasing out is going to be, let's say, on average, going to be somewhere between $1,800 and $2,600 per week. But that includes, in with that, you got your warranty, you got a maintenance plan. It's all inclusive. It's an all inclusive, lease payment, and they have no hidden fees, none of these, holdbacks or nothing like that, because you don't have that. That's all they pay is their lease payment. They make their lease payment. They keep 100% of everything they roll, everything they make. So they're making the lease payment. Let's say on average it's $2,400. Okay. Out of that $2,400, the owner of the truck gets 60% of that. So the owner of the truck is getting $1,440 per week. That ain't a bad take. $1,440 per week. That's where that $75,000 come in each year to the owner of the truck. All right. And then Easy Lease is getting $960 per week. So if you take that $960 that's coming from Easy Lease, and there's other ways that we make money, because we're going to make money on the warranty packages. We make money on the fuel cards. We make money on, all this other stuff on the factoring. And there's going to be a lot of carriers that are going to be using our national dispatcher network. So we're going to make money on the dispatching. We're going to have brokers that we are contracted with. We're going to make money from the brokers, from them running the broker loads and things like that. So it's going to be other ways to make money, but just based on the lease payment itself, $960 a week on average per truck. If we get to 100 trucks, which is not inconceivable within the first year, if we get to 100 trucks leased out the first year, that's basically $960 per week times 52 weeks in a year. That's $49,920 times 100 trucks. We're looking at $4,992,000 in revenue. Now, if we take that and let's say you got 2.5% of the company, that's your stake, 2.5%. This is before we get to the IPO stage and we're selling shares and stocks. And that's your real big, that's your exit strategy. We're talking about what you can look to make on a company like this while we're doing business year in and year out. So if your cut of that is 2.5% at the lowest entry level, $4,992,000 times 2.5%. You're drawing $124,000 a year, almost $125,000 a year in dividends. And you can't, that's for your $6,250 investment. At the lowest level, at your 2.5% of the company. Okay. All right. So I'm on a break. We got about an hour before we come back. But at 8 o'clock, we're going to have another live on YouTube. And we're going to be going over Easy Lease. Okay. Which is a company that I'm bringing forward. I've got another company. I'm going to be presenting different companies, over the next few weeks and months to give people the opportunity to take part in the pre-seed funding. All I ask is that take a look at the companies, evaluate them. If you know anything about trucking, another company that I'm bringing forth is going to be a real estate investment firm. I'm going to probably do that one next week and let you all take a look at that one. But, take a look at these companies and just see if, just make your own decision, do your own due diligence, from whatever you know about the trucking industry, do some research and find out if you think this is the type of company that is going to, upset the status quo. And I think it is, because we're doing things that no other lease company out there is doing. And we're doing something that we already know works. It worked for Uber. It worked for Lyft. It worked for, Turo, right? So you're dealing with vehicles that people own. Why not have a ride share platform for people who own commercial vehicles? I think it would work. And this will be an easy way for people to get, approved to lease vehicles, because we're not doing credit checks on the people who are leasing the vehicle. There's no credit check. Okay. It's not a lot of money up front, like $3,000, $1,500, deposit, which goes to the asset owner. $1,500 administrative fee that goes to Easy Lease. Okay. Up front. $3,000 up front. And then they go and pick the truck up. They look for the truck. They pick the truck up. They sign their lease, and then they're not billed their first weekly lease payment until 2 weeks later. So it gives them 2 weeks to run and make money before they get billed their first lease payment. And all the leases are going to be 8 and 12 month leases. 8 and 12 month leases. So there you have it. All right. See you all when I get back. Let me stop my. Hopefully, you all will join me here at 8 for the second round, where we're going to be presenting our first company, which is going to be Easy Lease. If y'all want to go check it out, you can go to myeasylease.com. That's myeasylease.com if you want to go check it out. So you can kind of do some pre-checks on it. You can go check it out at myeasylease.com. Let me show it to you all. There it is right there. Myeasylease.com, the commercial truck sharing marketplace featuring 100% of line haul to lease operators. All right. So there's a preview of the site. You all can go and check it out at myeasylease.com. Go and check that out. and we'll go over the site and go over the opportunity and give you all a chance to participate and let y'all know how y'all can participate and become one of the owners of the company. Thank you all. I appreciate your time, and you all have a I'm not sharing my screen. My bad. I thought I was still sharing. I thought y'all could see it. Let me what's my share screen thing again here? Oh, there it is right there. Let me share it with y'all so y'all can see the site. I do apologize. I do apologize. Entire screen. There we go. Yeah, it's there's the site right there. MyEasyLease.com. So I want to make sure y'all got a chance to see the site so you can kind of see what it is. But there it is, Easy Lease, the commercial truck sharing marketplace featuring 100% of line haul to lease operators. That's huge. And self-dispatch with no approval, that's huge. Okay, I mean, look, like game changer, this is really a game changer. All right, so there it is, myeasylease.com. Go check it out if y'all want to go ahead and get a kind of head start of evaluating it, kind of going through the site. And this is basically a site that shows you how this would work. It gives you a good format, it gives you a good premise of what Easy Lease will be and how we're going to be, reaching out to people. The asset owners can come here and they'll be able to list their trucks. They'll be able to list their trucks. Earning on average $1,460 weekly. That's more than $6,000 monthly per week. That's more than $74,000 a year, y'all, for a truck that you. And it saves them money because they no longer have to pay insurance for it. The lease operator's paying the insurance. They don't worry about any other liability. All that on the lease operator because it's on their authority. It's on the lease operator's authority. So for people that's ready to kind of get out of the truck, people that got trucks that they don't use anymore or they're not running, or for fleets that's got trucks that they're not using or running, it's perfect. We got another commercial up. So I think we got another commercial up. Nope, we're still up and running. All right. So, but yeah, this is for those people that, that's got these trucks and things like that, and they want to, kind of run these trucks and make money on these trucks. They can still do so. But yeah, that's what it's for. But look, everybody, I appreciate you all being with me. It's coming up on 7 o'clock. I'm going to take an hour break, and I will be back at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the presentation of Easy Lease. Okay. The commercial truck sharing marketplace featuring 100% of line haul to lease operators. Thank you all. I'll all back here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. Bye, everybody.